Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Plastic Girl Club. I'm your host, Juliet, and today we have a very special guest, Miami's real top injector and owner of Azala Skincare, Miami Derm Pro, Paula. Welcome, Paula.
Thanks, Juliet. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
I'm so appreciative of your time. I know you're super busy, and I'm so thankful that we are able to sit down with you so we could shed light on some of today's top treatments, your favorite lasers, all the skincare products that you offer, and just your overall before and after game, which is impeccable. So could you tell us a little bit about you, how you started in the beauty industry, about Azala?
Sure. So I have a little bit of a unique background, but I grew up loving art. I drew and sketched and painted and sculpted my whole life. But what happened? I was a neurotic perfectionist, and you work on something for months. And when I'd look at it, I'd say, "Oh, it's not perfect. I don't want anyone to see it." So I decided that wasn't going to be my career, or I would be starving and not have
Starving
a
artist.
life. Yes. So I went into medicine. I actually
Where
was
did you go
an
to school?
athlete at Cornell. I was an equestrian. I rode horses. So
that's so
that's
cool,
part like
Paula.
art. And, one thing led to another. A vet told me, no, you don't want to be a horse vet. And so I went into medicine. I had no idea about this industry.
Did you know aesthetics was it or nothing?
Nothing of the sort.
always
I
love
thought
that.
I would do ER. I ended up applying to Miami because after Cornell is like by Canada, I was freezing. And I said, I want to
need the hot
live where
weather.
people vacation.
And where people take care of their skin or
Yes.
should take care of their skin, the
And-
SPF, everything, right?
Absolutely. And I happened to find out about the PA profession by accident too. I thought I was at a pre-med meeting and in comes someone and, oh, the PAs. And
taking
I'm like,
over.
oh my gosh, I'm in the front row. I can't leave. I'm in, what is this,
Yes.
And me being that artsy type, I loved the fact that you can switch fields,
You're an
can
artist.
be
You're
in
an
one
artist,
type of
100%.
industry and then go into another. So I moved to Miami and I met a boy. I fell in love at the time in my 20s.
Ooh, a juicy love story. It always leads to the best.
It
When they
always
kick them to the
does.
curb.
And he was one that always suffered with terrible skin, and he grew up in Miami. And he would tell me, "You should go into dermatology."
You just needed your help.
And around that time, I started with terrible acne. So for the first time ever, bad skin, which I realized I was depressed about it. You can't forget about it. I had to learn to do makeup. And so that really got me interested in the industry. So I go into dermatology and I start working in the field, fall in love, and I start seeing some people, doctors injecting faces. And I'm thinking, especially lips,
Cue the scary music,
what
please.
are they doing? The lips should not come out forward.
No,
You should
100%.
maintain
I
a
mean,
natural
yeah.
look. So it was almost like innate. I was like, give me a syringe and
let me
here
help.
I can do it. So honestly, it just kind of clicked for me.
Everything plugged in together and you were put in this position, which is a gain for us,
Totally.
obviously, because you're the best.
Yeah,
And I'm not just saying that.
What ended up happening was with that relationship I was in, it was the type of relationship that, someone years later after we were together started making me feel like insecure about certain things and convinced me that because I would snore at night because anyone who rides horses and races them, I broke my nose a bunch of times. And so he convinced me that I should go have this medical procedure and maybe
Paula.
make the tip a little bit smaller. And
Okay,
anyone who
I'll take
knew
it.
me, I would have never let anyone convince me to do anything except when people start slowly and changing you, like it happens.
It gets to you. And
There's
a
a
lot
lot of Netflix shows out on these types of people.
And this is the beauty industry.
Yes.
And really what this beauty industry caters to is insecurities and also
Yes.
empowering women, men with
Right.
their insecurities, because it's not just women that need these types of treatments. You
Totally.
can definitely target men as well.
Right. And it can change people's lives for the better.
Forever.
But what happened to me, I tried to do all my research and see who were the best doctors based off
Plastic
of
surgeons,
awards,
yeah.
plastic surgeons around in Miami. And I ended up picking one who, top facial nose injector. And what happened was I got botched. Then I had to wait a year and I went to another doctor based off of recommendations and whatnot, and I got even more botched. So now, after spending thousands of dollars
fixing something.
yes,
Yeah.
I remember looking in the mirror and having to say, you are beautiful on the inside, Paula.
Positive
And I
affirmations,
thought, oh
Paula.
my
Positive
goodness, can
affirmations.
you believe that this is how I feel now after everything I've done to feel good about myself?
Of course.
So honestly, I had to wait then years. I had a child, and when I had my daughter, I said, oh my gosh, she's going to grow up in the city, and I don't want her
To be
or
going through it. Yeah.
anyone to go through what I went through.
That speaks volumes to
So,
me as well. Coming from the background that I've worked with 3 board certified plastic surgeons here in Miami in the last 10 years. Come from a background where I appreciate credentials, which I feel
right,
like is sometimes overlooked. And there's a lot of people that might say, well, this is a little cheaper. I don't really care if it's the
right,
right person that should be doing it to me, which I think is very not the right thing you should do.
yeah,
So credentials, and then obviously having a facility where you can provide these services at a safe level that is welcoming.
safety, yes,
Safety
most
is number
important.
one.
And you have to make sure that they're good human beings because in this industry, some people just want to take advantage and make
Of course.
monetize
Yeah, of
on
course.
people.
Of course.
And for me, it's about art. It's about making people happy, making people feel good. I'm selling confidence to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And
So,
empowering them so that
right.
they leave
Yeah.
with there's nothing more rewarding. I say this on a lot of the episodes I mentioned. There's nothing more rewarding than being able to fix something that you have had in your mind or that you look at yourself and maybe in silent, you don't disclose that, or
Right.
maybe your significant other, your partner highlights it. And then you reach this point where you're like, I'm ready to do it. And you Google it and you Google top injector and you don't research anything else after that. You just trust
Right.
the internet is telling you what you need, which is
Yeah.
where we come in, or what I wanted to create, which is a space
Exactly.
that is informative, educational, and that we're getting it directly from the source, which is the
Yes.
professionals, the people that really do this day in, day out, that are passionate about what they do. And I'm sorry, but your before and afters are just incredible. I mean, that's like number one for me. All my
Well,
friends love you.
I'm glad you reached out because honestly, I ended up going to Miami Plastic Surgery to meet one of the doctors to fix my nose.
Dr.
And
Wolf, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Carlos Wolf. And he ended up like calling me a week after our consult and saying, hey, you should come work for me. And I was like,
That's a smart man.
my daughter was 1 and I needed flexibility. And I loved that they were natural looking people. They would tell patients
Board
no
certified
all the time.
doctors.
Board certified. Actually, he was ENT and then plastic surgeon.
Yes.
So double board
Yes,
certified.
and I think they also work in the practice.
yeah.
Dr. Jason Altman, which is
Yes,
also an
he
ENT
just
as well.
joined.
Yeah, he
Great.
recently joined.
Max Polo, which I think he gives
The OG.
women a sense of happiness by restoring their self-confidence
Yes.
after mastectomies
Yep.
or just
Faces.
having children. Yes. So
exactly.
a great group of people, but that's where I actually just
Started.
becoming known for my injectables. But before that, in dermatology, I was known for treating skin, and I was able to merge
Acne.
the 2 passions together. And so
That's so powerful.
this is how now, after many years, I opened up a practice because I thought I could create a safe space for people, educate them, and have them hopefully make better decisions. Because a
And
lot
enjoy
of times,
their self-care time.
Yeah.
Because this is almost like a decompress. Like leave the kids at home,
Absolutely.
or I had a week of work that was just exhausting. I need that hydrofacial. And then I need to go over to Paula's office and get that special injection that I've been wanting, or that laser that I want to try out.
Yeah.
And so you have so many modalities and different things that we can use in your office, which I think really helps everything become a little bit more well-rounded. And so when a patient comes in here, it's almost like a playground of safe and amazing products, where it's
true.
that's very, very enticing. And I mean, that's literally what people, I'm sure, wanted in a long time. And there wasn't that many practices with real injectors like you, with the background that you have many years doing this. And then for you to be able to create the space for someone to come into and have an awesome experience, I think is worth so much more than getting a botch job or going to somebody who might have paid for an ad that says they're the best, but they're not. This is genuine
Yeah.
talent right here.
Well, I think my favorite thing about opening my own space is that I got to actually start purchasing the best and the newest devices that could merge the skills of injectables that I had with the technology to tighten skin, to treat acne, to stop acne, to make your muscles stronger,
Remove
if
dark
that's what you
sunspots.
want,
Yeah, exactly.
clear your skin. And so that's what's very exciting because I could create what I liked because there are numerous dermatologists that are excellent in their field and treating skin, lasers, but then a lot of the plastic surgeons were doing injectables, but they might
Not
not know
necessarily.
the
Exactly.
dermatology
That's not,
background. So
yeah, exactly.
I think it was nice to create a different space and to promote uniqueness and natural
Originality.
because believe it or not, it wasn't until after the pandemic that I ever talked to people about like, yeah, I do fillers and
Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have had surgery because I didn't want people to think that I was that fake type of person,
Or that
you
you
know?
did results that
Yeah,
were like not
right.
to par.
So
Absolutely.
why not use modern medicine and these treatments and technologies that we can slow the aging process so that we can
Those
age
are
gracefully
great noises
and
to my ears.
yes,
I love
you know,
the fountain of youth, and
I
here she
say
is.
it's nice, why not?
Yeah, yeah,
But I still say that I would rather look old than weird
yeah.
because I think people do too much. And then if you look like you have a lot done, well, in my opinion, you look older
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if not, you wouldn't need to. So,
100%, which leads us to our next topic, which is what are your highly requested treatments? I mean, like I said, you offer so many different things in your office and in your level of expertise. But what would you say is like top 3 treatments or top 5 treatments that you know for sure people cannot live without every time they come here?
so
In your
again,
order.
again, I'm very weird unless someone tells me what can make me look better or whatnot. I really just ask people what
What they
bothers you
want.
the
Yeah.
most. So when someone's young and they start falling into this, like, oh, I want to
Trend.
be
The trend.
preventative,
Yeah.
I think doing things for your skin. It's if you're young, maybe just a facial, maybe a hydrofacial, maybe infusing some enzymes and
Microneedling.
antioxidants with microneedling. We're using natural like PRP or the exosomes to stimulate
Let's
collagen
talk a
within
little
the
bit about
skin.
the exosomes and the different ways that you can improve your skin without necessarily heading over to the invasive or minimally invasive, like lasers or peels or anything like that, penetrating the skin.
Right.
Exosomes are what? For people who
So
don't know what that is.
exosomes are lab derived growth factors. So what PRP is, growth factors are what are needed to build collagen.
Yes.
They're precursor. So some people think like, oh my gosh, no, I don't want to have anything that's like altered, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't want something that's
That isn't a part
synthesized
of
in a
them.
lab.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with those people, you can use your own PRP. But what happens is, who can guarantee that in your body, your platelets, that's what's the PRP,
Yeah.
the platelets are functioning in order to have high levels of growth factors. So whereas the exosomes now are there's many different brands on the market. I
Course.
just chose the line that had the most clinical scientific published articles. And when you're reading clinical scientific articles that are published, you have to see who is running that clinical scientific
Course, as you
study
should.
because sometimes there's only 5 people and it's being funded by the company that's selling the product. So
Exactly.
again, you
Exactly.
have to kind of do your due diligence. And me being
You have
a
to
science nerd, I love reading into that. So,
Yeah, no, you have to understand the product too. I think I was saying this before we started. How sometimes, and I don't know if you go through this with your patients, that I ask my friends or people that are like, "Hey, I know that you're into plastics. Can you help me? The aesthetics. What should I do? I actually had this done here. I had something done here and here." And I'm like, "Okay, what did you use and when?" I have no idea, which is very scary to me
yeah,
because you should know everything you're putting in your body and you should know what the purpose of the product or the treatment is.
right.
And that leads back to the provider. So the
It
educator,
does.
the
It
person that
does.
is
And
giving you these
and their
products.
morality as well, because
Please.
when I was about to open an office, I had people come up to me and say, "Hey, if you order your fillers through this company, it comes from Canada
Ooh.
and they're the same thing." And I said, a lot of my friends are lawyers, and I was like,
I'm not doing that.
that is not okay. The FDA exists
For
in
a
our
reason.
country because that way we have a specific high standard to ensure safety for
Regulations, all of that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And nowadays with counterfeits, like they're not just counterfeiting these topical skin products.
Who knows what that
even
is?
think they're counterfeiting injectables, because I've had patients come in and they tell me that they had Juvederm to their lips and it was hard and
did not feel at all like
what
Juvederm.
Juvederm would feel like.
Yeah.
And when you put foreign substances into your body, it doesn't necessarily mean it happens to everyone. Of
course,
it could
everyone's
happen
different.
6 months after, or it could happen 20 years after a procedure, where your body starts seeing that as a foreign invader and it starts attacking it. And a lot of these products you can't just easily remove. They have to have surgery to cut it out. They're going to be left with defects. So yeah.
That is
Make
crazy how they
sure
can be. I mean, I thought it was
you do your
counterfeit bags,
research.
counterfeit
Oh, yeah.
shoes. Oh
Yeah.
no, we're going deep. We're going
So-
counterfeit facial products, which is insane. You gotta know the brands too. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I use Botox."
Yeah.
There's so many different type of.
Right. Botulinum.
Yeah.
So everybody can go onto your medical license, whatever state you're in. You're able to see if your practitioner is in good standing,
he's
that they
really
have
on the
an
list.
active license. Also, you have to be aware that for injectables specifically, I will tell you, anyone can say that they're an expert and start giving classes and teaching. And what I find to be very scary is that
Frightening, so frightening.
some of these people will be teaching new injectors, new doctors in the field, new practitioners to do very risky procedures that could permanently blind people, permanently scar them. So
That's the fine line. They don't
Yeah.
talk about the products. 'Cause at the end of every product commercial, there's like, you can
Right.
have a crazy side effects, which I think is what I hear when I'm like listening to them. That's what I hear the most. And then that redirects me, my mindset, my heart to pick someone that is going to be a great representation of the product so that I don't have those side effects on the fine line and print.
So how can you figure out who can teach and who knows? Well, only people get invited to be a teacher and faculty for the major pharmaceutical companies that provide these FDA-approved fillers,
Such as
like Galderma or
the guys.
Allergan, AbbVie, or the RHA line. There's a bunch.
yeah.
But the two biggest ones are Galderma and Allergan, and I teach for both of them. I will tell you, we don't make a lot of money teaching these, but it's my way to pay it forward. I say if I teach more people to inject the more natural way using people's features and gesticulations to see the aging changes, then there's less people for me to have to fix.
so true.
And
That
it's
is so
way
true.
easier to not to have to fix someone and keep them looking at themselves if they hadn't had bad work. So I do it because it's great
what
on
you
your
love.
resume. I'm going to be able to reach more audience, teach more people. And in the future, I might do my own training
helping.
program which I charge way more, but I don't have the
It's
time
worth
for
it.
now.
You have the skill set
Yeah,
and the experience.
so-
So, I mean, you should be the person educating people. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah,
to me
so
that
make
people-
sure that you do the research. And some of those awards, like Juliet, we were talking about earlier,
Oh, yeah, that
like
you could
people
pay
win
for.
awards and it's a popularity contest or you've paid for it
Yeah.
because
And a lot of the consumers have no idea.
Right,
They're just
right.
like, oh, look, it says top
Mm-hmm.
surgeon or top injector.
Right.
How did you even get there? I like to see this. I like to sit down with
Yes,
real Paula.
yes.
I like Paula to tell me what she really loves about what she does. And I love to come to your office. Like I said, I've come here often. I do my hydrofacials. I love you. I love your practice and the products that you offer. Skin Better, Zomed, Ulta. I mean, you just have everything all together. The aesthetic, if you're coming to just feel good and in a setting where you're just happy and welcome, this is it. So, I mean, I really do appreciate what you're doing. Let's
Thank
move
you.
on to the next
Yes.
topic, which is, well, I think you said the top treatments, right? What was
my
the
top
Yeah,
treatment?
let's
Yes,
do
yes.
that.
So I love combining modalities. So if someone comes in for their skin, I'm going to use my pulse dye laser to treat the red
it.
vascular stuff. We can use the
The
IPL
IV
machine or the Clear and Brilliant to get the pigmentation
Clear and
out if you
Brilliant.
need it. We combine it with that PRP microneedling or the Morpheus 8, that radio
Holy
frequency
Grail.
microneedling.
Holy Grail arrived.
Yeah, the reason
Why is Morpheus so intense?
Yeah.
Because that's definitely one of the ones that people, I'm sure, are coming into. Because there is a little bit of a trend right now going on with the snatched or jawline contouring. And a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, oh, I need filler. There's so many other modalities and technologies you could
Yeah.
use to get that effect.
Well,
And you
right. And
should
like I
combine.
said, first, let's start with the skin, the tissue, before we start going
Changing
towards
and shifting.
bone structure. I say fillers should be thought of to replace the bony changes that are happening, right?
Yeah.
So the real change is you can use things like Morpheus 8. And why is it cool? It's an FDA approved skin tightening device that you can do face and body. But if you know the physics behind some of these devices, if you're putting high heat deeper into the tissue where your fat cells are, they can start disrupting them. And that means you can lose them completely or they just get a little less. So, what a real correctly trained practitioner will understand that you're going to pick the right person to do the deep high energy to get rid of the fat when they want it gone and not the person that doesn't want it, because if not later they're going to have to use a lot of filler and other things. But for the fat you want to just target and really eradicate it completely, then we can use Kybella, which is a great allergen product. And it's an injectable. It does require 2 to 4 sessions at least, which people are not aware of. Yes.
Everything
it breaks
usually
down the little fat cell membrane. We do not usually make fat cells after the early age of around 13 unless you eat a lot of those fake sugars, like aspartame. They just get bigger and smaller. So when we get rid of them, it's a permanent thing. This is why with liposuction, we're blindly removing the fat cells, but maybe there was one left. And if you gain weight, you'll gain it in that area and you can get uneven. But you can target and fix things with the Kybella off-label.
So Kybella, the right areas that would work for you. Not everyone coming in with their inspo pick or my cousin just did this, you can do. Everyone has a different body shape, a different face shape, different treatment that they're required. And then combination treatments. So Morpheus with other treatments like PRP, microneedling, which is definitely the lasers.
Right.
But I do like how you said the foundation is the skin and the texture and making sure that you don't have like maybe some pimples from stress or hormones or menopause, everything that can happen. So once you get the skin nice and glowy, then you can start shifting over to transitioning like the shapes and a lot of the things that you can change in your face with injectables and treatments like Morpheus, right?
So, I mean, what aging is really is how light and shadows form on the skin, right? The changes of the bones, the erosion that happens because of the remodeling of the bones and gravity makes the structure become thinner and the jaw recede back and it, creates these shadows. So that's where I think that the fillers come into play, but it is not about volumizing.
No.
I prefer to utilize.
I do not want a fat cheek when I smile.
So I employ a tacking method, which I can use based off of a person's face shape and changes, where I can use a filler and inject it in their cheek, but it makes their cheek look smaller. And this is something that
is not
it
very
takes
common.
trust and it's something that I like to teach, and we call these individual treatments the Azala method because there's not one size fits all. It should be catered to each individual. Less is more. If someone needs lots of syringes of filler, we want to do it over 3 sessions because I want to see what we get, have some swelling, have it settle, and reevaluate.
That's another thing that a lot of people don't mention, the post-treatment that can occur. So I know with the peels, you have some peeling that occurs a few days out. With the Morpheus, you have some scabbing and like toughness on the skin immediately after. Kybella swells you up like a big blowfish.
Lots of swelling, right.
And that's something that a lot of people don't mention. And so you come in, you get the treatment, and then you're depressed the next day because you're swollen. But everything isn't a one-size-fit-all or a one-hit wonder where you just do one treatment and everything's good.
Some
a lot of these
swell
require
more than others. I have to say that when I have any injectables, I cannot look at myself in the mirror or I will be depressed for 2 days because I cannot stand the way I look and I want no one to see me. Yes. But, usually the face takes about 7 days for the initial healing to occur. And on the body, it can take at least 2 weeks. So I always say, make a good decision and plan accordingly, right? If you're having a wedding, don't do a new treatment for the first time 2 weeks before. Like give yourself
time
months.
And your body to heal.
Right. You want to do it where you're going to feel better about yourself and not throw you into this terrible tailspin because
it can be an ugly story. So off label, and you were mentioning another product that we didn't really touch, which is Sculptra. You do use a lot of Sculptra. I know that you were saying years ago it was being used.
Yeah.
Or it was.
Oh, I thought it was cute because you're young and you're like, oh, this is like new. And like everyone only used it on the butt and now it's the face. So Sculptra, it's technically, we don't call it like a filler because it's a bioidentical. It's a polylactic acid. So it's something that it's like the enzyme that when you've worked out really hard, that like burn you feel in your muscles.
Or that toneness.
So it's like you take that and they mix it with water and they start injecting it, and it starts your body to produce its natural collagen.
Okay.
So it was created during the AIDS epidemic because people with AIDS would break down hyaluronic acid fast and they would lose all the fat in their face. So that's how it actually got its
to give
FDA
them more
approval.
fullness.
And she's like, "How come no one talked about it?" And I was like, "Well, we didn't really have social media, so
push it
you
because
know."
it's now like the new
And,
BBL, right? Like
no
the
one was
organic
trying
BBL.
to look like the AIDS patient who was the poor people were going to die, you know? So, but yeah, so now in medicine, what happens is we get a medication or a product and then we start like playing with it. Like
And finding
some
trial
of
and
these
error.
tightening devices, I had to reach out to the company and say, "Hey, can you send me the studies so I could start applying them in other areas?"
Because you don't just treat the face, you also treat the body.
Yeah.
But Morpheus isn't just for, let's say, the cheeks below or the neck. There's also different tips and different levels that you can even go into like a blepharoplasty without necessarily doing surgery.
It is off label, and you have to make sure it's just not a random person that sees someone doing risky procedures online.
Not
and
everyone
goes to
can
try
use
it.
the machine, yeah.
Because I feel sometimes very uncomfortable posting certain procedures because, you know, if you fire any laser device into your eye socket, you can have
gosh.
massive inflammation behind the
Please be
eye
careful,
and
guys.
go blind. So,
Yeah, please
don't
beware.
just see it and try it at home. But sometimes people don't heal well from certain devices because their nutritional status is terrible. So maybe they're not going to produce collagen. Maybe they're going to
Their
have
lifestyle, too.
worsening
Yep,
effects
yep.
from something amazing like the Morpheus, where then maybe they're a sculpture candidate, which
Yep.
we can inject, do a series of injections and stimulate the collagen. On label, you know, we have faces. And off label, we use
have
it
body,
necks, chest, yes.
stomach and stuff like
And
that.
the butt is an
butt.
off label, but yes, we
But you can do
definitely
it in
use
that
it.
area. And
The
can
stomach,
you mix,
yes.
it's just for curiosity, you can mix M Sculpt with Sculptra and to try to plump that butt or
Definitely.
no?
Oh
You
yeah.
can
Oh
mix
yeah.
both. M
Because
Sculpt is the
if you
new
think about
workout
it,
without working out.
well, honestly, when everyone was like, "Oh, you need it, we should get it," I was like, you know, I love whenever I feel out of shape, I book like an expedition through the Himalayas and I do a trek, you know, and I come back after climbing a mountain, my butt is lifted. But let's be real, the way I work now, and anyone who can see, I have no time to do a manicure.
Oh, you're so busy and you're helping us, so
right.
you also need to do something for yourself. It's nice to
so
sit
it's
there for 10
modern
minutes.
medicine, right?
Yeah,
You literally put this machine on this company's from
Strap
Palo
me in.
Alto. They've done so much research and it causes muscle contractions and you can target it. And yeah, I had a six pack that I hadn't seen since my 20s and I'm 40, you know, like
You look 20,
wow.
Paula, please.
And you can get that while you're watching Netflix or you know
relaxing, yeah.
So it's for, you know, this industry is for people that can afford things.
That's another big
And
topic.
you have to make sure you are the right candidate for all these procedures. So
Reassure yourself you're a good candidate. Come to a consultation.
yes.
Educate yourself. Learn the products, what the result of the product is going to be, and then start incorporating and have realistic expectations, which is not one treatment at
Totally.
once. You need a month in between. Come back for your second, come back the third month, and then you'll see results. Combine one product with the other
Yeah.
and do things that are going to help you get closer to that positivity and like self-love that you
Totally.
need to. This is all about empowering you and
It
feeling your
is.
very
It
best because you
is.
do best when you
And
feel
like
good.
you mentioned, anything with the skin, it is not instant. Even though you might see an instant something that makes you happy, it actually takes like 3 months to really start seeing effects from things. Even with the M Sculpt, you
Or the
start
threads,
feeling the muscle strength first and later seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do
the
a lot of threads. The threads
all
are scary.
of
People are always so
those-
scared of the threads, but the threads take about 6
Yeah.
months to really peak, right? And
Well,
then, or what? Educate me
It's
because I'm
because
probably
it's
wrong.
a dissolvable suture under the skin causing irritation. So any irritation, any wound healing is collagen remodeling.
Okay.
So yes, theoretically, it depends how long the suture is going to last under the skin. But if they're
Typically.
barbed, is how they're positioned
Okay.
and how your recovery is, because you can't be making a lot of expression or going to dislodge them,
Okay.
and they won't last as long.
When you do
So,
threads,
again,
can you do fillers?
I wouldn't do it at the same time because
Give yourself
fillers are going to cause more swelling, and swelling could displace the thread.
Gotcha.
So
But what about threads and maybe Morpheus?
I think that the Morpheus could actually maybe
Be better
dissolve
than
the
this.
threads.
Okay.
So
Oh, I got you. That's good to
So
know.
I
That's good to
say
know. There's certain things you
2
can
to
and shouldn't.
tightening
Yeah,
because then you might not need to spend so much on the other procedures.
exactly. Would you say
So
start with the Morpheus and then work your way if you need a little extra
Morpheus,
lift?
if you actually have more heaviness and you're older than like a 20-year-old, because
Yeah, of
since
course.
the
It's a lot
craze
easier.
of media, like I've had, I'll get like a 20-year-old that comes in for Botox and they're like, I'm here for Botox. And I'm like, why? And they raise their eyebrows up and I'm like, that's just expression. Like,
And you're needing it little by little.
so
That's also another thing that I wanted to say. I
yeah.
was luckily enough,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
was educated on this and the preventative and baby talks and when you
Right.
should start using
When
it.
you have wrinkles at
But if I would have
rest.
started when I started in the plastic surgery
Uh-huh.
industry and seeing all the beautiful before and afters that the
Mhm,
doctors would
mhm,
do, or those women coming in that were beautiful already but needed more,
mhm.
I would have probably damaged my self esteem and my face and the progress of where I am today. So it is important to not overdo it,
Yeah,
to still feel beautiful without any treatments. But
definitely.
this is definitely going
Definitely.
to help you become a better version of yourself, which is
Right.
always empowering. And I
If it
mean, there's nothing
helps,
wrong with that.
right, if it helps you match your insides and whatnot, then it's great.
Yeah.
We can utilize this. And if you have a specific look, like with me, I wanted my upper lip disappeared and I just wanted it to look good. Bring a picture because my idea of subtle is like barely
It
perceivable.
depends. That's
And
all.
some people left me looking like a duck and like something that I was not wanting.
Yes.
So make good choices, bring
Absolutely.
pictures.
Educate yourself.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
guys. So I loved having you, Paula. Thank you again so
Thank
much for this
you.
time. I think if you have a little time, we are going to play a little bit with one of your top treatments, which is
Mhm.
Kybella or whatever you decide, because at this point, I'm just going to let the professionals guide me. But if you guys found this episode helpful, make sure to follow us at the Plastic Girl Club video podcast. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram, TikTok. And also, please follow Miami Derm Pro at Asala Skin Clinic as well.
Mhm.
Any other last minute feedback or anything you want to give our listeners and our viewers to take away from this time we spent with you?
You
What's
all,
like your best advice?
my best advice is make sure you are making these decisions on what you need based off of like a real fact because a lot of times we have insecurities in life and it manifests as a wrinkle or something but the underlying issue may be something else and
Yeah.
if not you start chasing these cosmetic treatments when you're not going to fix the real problem so make
Fix
sure
yourself.
you understand and do things for the right reasons because it makes you happy and not to make anyone else happy.
Absolutely. Yourself. That's all that
Mhm.
matters. Thank you so much, Paula. We're so
Thank
happy we
you.
had you. See you
Thanks.
guys next time. We will definitely have
Bye.
Paula back again.